several questions addressed to you.
Thank you very much. So-called dictatorship government during early stage of economic development. So the government really deeply involved in resource allocation, and then market was completely segmented by the government. I'm talking about the story of 1960s and the early 1970s. And then segmented, and then each sector was guaranteed with monopolistic the management. So in that way, government nurtured infant industry in my country at first. But the role of government really diminished as time goes by. So nowadays, especially as we enter into the high-tech industry, those are the Korean businessmen, not the Korean politicians or the government officials that contributed and then decided to get into high-tech industry. So the bold decision was made. But if I relate this concept with education, education of course is one of the greatest, most important factors contributing behind the rapid economic growth of Korea. But not only education, that's not a single factor, not only education, but also proper government policy. But for me, the most important thing is government and the society really nurtured entrepreneurship, which can dare into very bold decision in making shipbuilding industry, getting into semiconductor, building world's greatest steel mill, automobiles. Those concepts were really absolutely ridiculous when we decided in 1960s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. So entrepreneurship might be the most important factor for me for Korean economic development, and then what the different scholars might have different the ideas. And then the education policy is concerned. So back to Mr. Mandu's question. Like most of all countries in the world, the education sector and the universities are very conservative. Government, from the very beginning up to now, is really struggling to persuade them to move to get into industry. So all the time we have changed educational policies from one to another, and then that's it. Korean education policy is a kind of total laboratory. We have experimented all different types of West Germany system, Japanese system, American system, but it didn't work really actually. So far, government is really struggling. The early years of the first year of every president, they all the time promise to change, introduce drastic reform in educational sector, but no one actually succeeded. That much educational sector is conservative. One interesting thing is that because Ministry of Education put together with the universities, they are so conservative, they are very reluctant to change. So government from time to time created new universities under Ministry of Labor for vocational training and education, and then special university emulating the concept of MIT. We established Korean Institute of Science and Technology, because nowadays it became very pronounced, under the Ministry of Science and Technology. So universities including my universities, I'm teaching at the National University, those are very, very difficult to change. Mindset is very conservative, very backward-oriented, not futuristic. So really, it's really difficult for government to coordinate and the guide educated to move into knowledge economy. And yes, therefore there is a lot of mismatch between labor market and education even in Korea. So a lot of debate and a lot of complaints are raised even in Korea, and then government established a lot of different institutional devices, such as, for example, Vocational Training Institute, many, and then Korea, I can't remember exactly the name in English, but Korea Human Resource Services, and then they also they created the Institute of Vocational Training and Human Resources, blah, 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 blah. So, but it doesn't work very well. But anyway, we are struggling and trying to match labor market and education, but That seems to be permanent mismatch. And then education, all the time, every president emphasizes I would like to be called and remembered to be the president of education. But that's the campaign slogan. But after inauguration, the president in Korea tends to forget about putting education in top priority. But anyway, we spent, the education sector is sometimes number one or number two in Korean society. Much more monies are spent in education and health, social welfare sector than defense in my country nowadays. And okay, so Mr. Khan emphasized really Korean success in digital economy is not made by accident. Really, we made artificial efforts, and then we really made hard efforts to launch some institutional devices, and then we assigned a lot of money and resources to boost that industry. But still, we all the time, maybe it must be, the level must be different, but still we are complaining about knowledge dissemination, and then lack of association with business circle in my country. So we are trying to make and then channel all those knowledges put together into, and then like the case of Californian cases, because my country is relatively small, it is relatively easy to manage and then to build information highway in my country, and then it's quite appropriate size to go into wireless, jump into wireless. And then we try to build a networking between research institutes, governments, agencies, universities, to make a national backbone of information exchange. So it's been virtually did. And then all libraries were digitized, and it was linked into national backbone. So it is quite really very easy for us to find dissertations and articles, government reports through the internet. But unfortunately, majority of languages are written in Korean. So I get into the shift into the question of mother tongue, the importance of mother tongue. It must be a very interesting point that it must be the reason that, but when I do some consultation for risk developing countries, all the time I emphasize really to recover confidence as well as your identity. Because no country has succeeded under colonization. And then even many countries, even after independence, very few countries really succeeded in those countries who rely too much on international consulting or international organizations or foreign advisory roles. So I all the time ask to recover your self-confidence as well as self-identity. So in that sense, maybe mother tongue may work something in bringing integrity and then social cohesion, but still we are all the time, from my birth up until now, we are complaining about influence in foreign languages. Still I have a lot of problems in speaking English, but I'm exceptionally good guy that can speak English with my such level. So Korean people, together with Japanese, are the least fluent people in foreign language in the world, but not like the Japanese, Korea made brilliant successes in handling information technology. So in English, we still all the time emphasize English, and then we are the world's biggest expenditure in English learning. Actually, Korea is the world's biggest expenditure in English learning. About 21% of income of the company Princeton has TOEFL comes from Korean applicants. So that much we complain about English improper use of English proficiency. And then basically, I didn't want to insert participants from African countries. I don't know whether there is anyone particularly from Ghana. It's just for comparison and then compare the fact.